Yeah! What's up, guys? Welcome to CrossChat, CrossPlay's review video series. It's our first one. We're here in the CrossPlay basement. I've got AJ with me.
Howdy.
And I got Draven over there on the Papa song.
I'm going to be looking really weird because I'm looking over at you guys and the camera. Whatever.
It'll be good. We'll make it happen because this is our first time doing this sort of thing, so it'll be
popping the cherry, you know.
Right. Today we're going to be reviewing Dark Souls 3.
Point at the penis.
Pointing at the penis. I haven't finished it, but I'm 16 hours in the game.
It's more of an opinion than a review.
For sure.
I have gotten to, I'm about 30 hours or so. I'm at the Profane Capital area.
And then I've completed the game a total of 3 times now. So I put a little bit of time into this.
Well, so I guess, what were your thoughts? Like,
my thoughts,
finished it.
So
several times.
I blew through the game pretty quickly. Well, quick being about, I think it took me like 42 hours to complete, which is the longest I've ever taken on a Dark Souls game.
That actually seems really low to me. I feel like Dark Souls is a game that, like...
Dark Souls 1, I think I beat in about 33 hours. Dark Souls 2, I think I beat in like 27.
Oh, wow. And
then Dark Souls 3... Did I say 3 the second time?
I don't know.
Dark Souls 3 took me roughly like 40-something. And so when I was going through the game, my first thoughts on it was, wow, this is a gorgeous game. The game is stunning. A lot of the sceneries, a lot of the atmospheres, just every new place that you came to felt different, or at least like an extension from the last area. The combat I felt was a lot smoother in this one, which
I completely agree.
I really liked it.
I think that's one of the standout things of this game. Is the way that the game feels and the lessons that they learned from Bloodborne, as far as like the way the character moves and the way you target enemies. I don't remember. Is that how you targeted enemies in the previous Dark Souls games?
Yes.
Just clicking in?
Yep.
It never felt as smooth as that, though.
And
like,
then
for me in Bloodborne, it felt the same.
Yeah,
like the target switch was very fluid too.
Was that maybe the thing you couldn't do? I don't remember. You could just flip it and switch it like that. See, it's been so long.
You could, but it felt rough. Like it felt like it didn't target the one you wanted.
And then Bloodborne just made, I think that nailed it. And then Dark Souls 3, I think, feels even better than Bloodborne, which I thought would be hard to do, because Bloodborne felt so fast and good to do. And then Dark Souls 3 just feels even better, which is great. Like, it feels like I'm playing an arcade game.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's the way I feel about it. Which is why, like by the way, this is going to be a full, not full spoiler discussion, but any one of these we'll do are going to be just like spoiler. You might get spoiled. So play the game. Or just be okay with it. Whatever you want to do. But that's why I feel like Dark Souls to me is a game that you really can't spoil in a way.
Yeah.
Or because the things that you would spoil are like boss fights and like how you beat them. And,
which you're going to be looking up anyway if you're doing poorly.
Yeah.
That's what I do sometimes.
The thing that you can spoil is the lore behind it. But lore is you have to search for it.
And it takes a lot to figure out the lore of these games, because you have to read item descriptions, you have to listen to every fucking thing NPCs say, you have to, and then even then that's not enough. You have to start connecting things in your head, and it might not even be correct. It's all kind of just guesswork.
Do you know where this game fits?
Yes.
In the timeline?
Yes.
Like, where does it fit?
So, it actually does take place after the previous 2 games. Sorry for spoiling this if...
I kind of figured it took place
because they do reference Lordran. You do see Andre. Andre's from the first game. He's the blacksmith. So it takes place after Lordran, and then they briefly talk about... I can't remember... Dark Souls 2 takes place. But they do talk about it and reference it there as well. And they talk about how every time the fire has been rekindled... it's a new empire being built. So, it's not necessarily a rebirth, but these new empires that are rising are where the new fires are starting. Like, in the first one when you chose... Sorry if I spoil this, if you haven't played the first one yet. In the first one when you chose to either rekindle the bonfire or walk away from it, the game automatically assumes that you rekindle the bonfire, right? You're taking over Gwyn's position. And when you take over Gwyn's position, you become not only Gwyn, but you usher in the next age and a new empire. So this one is it's another area, it's another empire with the fire in it. Yeah.
See, like I just playing the game, you don't get any of that. I feel like because I guess for me,
They
I'm
don't
not
spoon
looking
feed it to
for
you.
it though, and and I know that that's like one of the big reasons why people like the game is because of the discovery aspect of it. And for me, that's like the discovery of like the routes I take for the game itself is where I get a lot of my enjoyment from it. Because like I love looking at the stuff. You know, I love observing. Like there are times where I'll like look off the cliff or whatever and just like stare at the background for a while. You know, like just because it's so pretty and I want to see everything, but I could give a fuck about the story.
See,
like I don't. They don't say anything about it. They're just kind of like, here it is, and then like I think this game does a better job than the other ones.
Yep.
Because there is more. I feel like more cutscenes, more characters that I run across. But then again, I don't understand the context for any of them. I don't get it. It's like I'm just playing the game. It's almost like I'm playing a Mega Man game at this point, where I'm going from boss to boss to boss, not really caring about what the thread is between them, but just because the gameplay feels so good.
Which is funny to come from you because you're a big Mega Man fan.
Yeah, no, and I love story in games too, though. Like, and I think that's why the way the story is delivered in this game bugs me. But you can almost say that about the Souls games in general for me, because I don't want a game that's necessarily spoon-feed me the story, but I want a strong narrative. And I feel like the Souls games don't really have that as much, you know?
AJ, you were saying something.
Well, I was just going to say, because I first played Bloodborne, that was my first Souls game, and I didn't know about the whole, like, you have to, like, search for the story, seek it out. Because I always, all I ever heard about the games was that they're really hard, and that always kind of, like, scared me off. Like, not that I'm afraid of a challenge, it's just I've played the old NES games back when games were hard and I'm like, I don't want to deal with that.
I've already put in my time.
Yeah, like I don't want to deal with hard games, so I'm like, I don't want to do this. But then when I heard about Bloodborne, the world looks so cool, the monsters, you're hunting beasts, I was like, this looks cool. The weapons were cool.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, the changing weapons is like, I'm in. When I got my PS4, that's the game I got with it.
Yeah.
I was like, I was on board. But when I was playing it, and I'm like, ooh, this cutscene's really cool when you start out. And that's like fucking it. I'm playing the game, I'm like, man, when's the story gonna start? Like, I really wanted story because I really wanted to know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
And then all I was getting, like, I got some stuff from, the NPCs were, like, telling me stuff. And
little like, snippets here and there.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I guess I get a little bit, but I still wanted like a stronger narrative. But then, most of the time I played Bloodborne, I was playing with friend of the show, Roan. Yeah. And he was basically my lore guide.
He was like your Sherpa.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking you around.
He would help me through, he would help me beat bosses, and we'd be kind of like co-op through the game. And then right before 3 came out, I wanted to just bum rush a new character because I wanted to do a new build and stuff. And so we were basically co-oping that whole thing, and but he was explaining some more of the lore, and the lore is so cool, and that's why I wish they would maybe have an option of feeding you more information, or maybe have, like, instead of just here's like an item description, have
like when you finish,
like in Resident Evil when you could find like pages,
or like at the end of the game, like, hey, you completed Dark Souls 3, here's the lore book.
Yeah, that would be cool too, just something to give you.
You beat a boss, here's their lore page.
Yeah, like that would be a cool way to get some more information as to what's going on. 'Cause I really wanted to know what was going on, but they weren't really doing much. And yeah, I do agree that Dark Souls 3, it seems like it did a little bit of a better job, because it wasn't, there was a lot more that they were telling you, I felt. Or it felt like it was more established, because like, oh, these are the Lords of Cinder, you gotta go get them. And then, you're walking around, they're like, Aldrich eats people, and stuff. I'm like,
which, by the way, I don't want to spoil the cutscene, but you've beaten Aldrich, right?
Whooped his
that cutscene in the beginning when you first walk in and see him garbling down, I was astonished. I was like, holy hell! I don't want to spoil too much for you.
No, actually, that conveniently kind of dovetails into something. I reached out to some people on Facebook to get some comments for our review, and Robert over at Gamers Cafe and he's a friend of the show, he left a comment for us that says, many people talk about how difficult games like Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne are, and while that's true, I feel like the games don't get nearly enough love for how freaking gorgeous they are.
Yeah.
There is no game before these that has stunned with its beauty and horrified me with its twisted enemies at the same time. There is nothing on the market that compares to the dark pit of imagination that these beasts climbed out of. The design and execution of each of the enemies alone deserves an award and possibly a few trips to the psychologist.
Right?
So
like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
the first time you stumble across, or the first time you come to Iudex, you're like, sword and a dude. All right, I'm going to have to fight him.
Yeah, it's you know where it's going.
You pull the sword out, and then you're like, all right, he's not too hard. And then just, and you're like, what am I doing? What am I looking at?
And that scene's great because it's for those who've never played a Souls game before. It's like, welcome to Dark Souls, motherfucker.
Like,
and then,
oh, you think this is easy? Bend over for a second. Just let me ram you.
I didn't have a problem with that.
But for those of us
but if you're not expecting it,
if this is your first Souls game and you're walking into it and you're not really like, all right,
sure, I'll pull the sword out, whatever.
I'll fight him, and then that happens. It takes you for a bit of a ride.
Well, because everything was so easy up to that point. They're like, oh, I'm gonna hit you. Oh, missed. You know, it was just a bunch of those guys.
Telegraph their
right, and then they're like, you know, then they throw you into a boss fight right away. And the fight was pretty easy. You could parry him. This is easy. Mm-hmm. And then he changes. And then he's like, "Wah!" And he's like killing, one-shotting you.
He's a lot more unpredictable. His claw has so much more power.
His telegraphs are kind of weird because you're like, oh, he's going to do that move. Nope. And then he, you know.
Well, one of the enemies that I ran across it, I was like, how the hell do I deal with you? Was the first time I ran into the tree monster.
The elder tree.
The elder tree.
Yep.
I ran into his hall and I was like, what the fuck are you?
Yep.
How do I fight you?
And then you hit him and you're like, I'm not doing any damage.
And then you finally see those spots.
Those
like
cysts.
The cysts. Yeah. And then I did that and then like after you hit a certain point and the thing happens.
It drops down.
It drops down. And
it's
it's just
what's happening?
What the hell?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I kind of got dovetailed, like that goes right into like what Robert was saying, is that the creatures just look so fucking cool.
All of the bosses in this game I felt were just so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
wow, man, that one where I can't remember his name. The skeleton.
The skeleton.
The ice one?
The king. The one where he curses the area and then he summons the he has the cursed sword. He has the bracelets you have to hit.
Yeah, the bracelets. Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, sorry to.
I haven't seen that one. That sounds awesome.
It's so cool. Like when that happens, it's just so. It's not too hard of a fight, but it's just really cool.
It's the first time. It's the first time in this game where you go, holy! You look up at this boss.
Yeah, you're like, oh god.
And you're like, how do I do this? And then he starts moving. And you're like.
What
am I doing?
Run away!
It's like that scene from the Holy Grail, like the Monty Python's like, run away!
Yeah, like with the tree, you're like, okay, but all my targets are right here. I don't ever have to worry about anything up here. If he starts doing an attack, it's very easy to dodge. This one, you're like, I need to pay attention to everything. It was.
Well, and then it's not only that, but then other thing, he starts summoning enemies too, and it's like, oh, now I gotta deal with these.
Gotta kill the ads. You know?
Yeah, like that was just a really cool fight. I mean, there's a lot of cool
fights,
boss fights.
I think, without spoiling too much, I think honestly, my favorite fight was the final fight, and I won't spoil it for you.
Okay,
but to me, it tied together the first and second games.
And see, and that's why with playing through 3, I feel bad that I never played the first 2.
Yeah,
because it feels like they're referencing a lot of stuff, and I feel like I'd be getting a lot more out of it.
Onion Knight. That you run into. I didn't have any context for him. You know, I never got to his point in the game for 1 and 2.
Yep.
Like I didn't play 2 at all, but I played 1 a fair amount, but I hit a wall because I was being a jackass and I wanted to give myself the hardest experience because I was being like, fucking Dark Souls, they say it's hard, fuck that, you know? And like I was a jackass and I was like, I'll go as like the
depraved.
And then I tried to just play the game with a spear and a shield thinking that was a smart idea.
No.
And it wasn't, so I hit a wall and I got frustrated and I stopped playing it. And that's not a comment on the game. It's a comment on me.
And now it's hard to go back to it because it is unperfected.
And so I never hit that point. And so yeah, like Sigvard and like a couple of the other references to Dark Souls 1, I can tell like they're referencing the previous game here. I just don't get it. You know, like
that is one thing that was disappointing to me. But it's still a fun game.
Yeah.
Like,
one thing, Frank. Another comment. Frank from a friend of the show. He says, I keep getting bored when I am playing alone, and the only time I've played with friends, they are much higher level than me, so it wasn't much fun either when they do all the work. And so I followed up with, I asked him why he was bored, and he said he didn't feel like he was making any progress. Even when I was, it just felt like I was going through the steps. So I don't know, how do you guys feel about the RPG of the game?
I feel like those... I have more fun with them when I play with friends. Like when I was going through with Bloodborne with Roan, like and Garrett, another friend of the show, like we played through the whole DLC together, and that was really fun. What is with this shit? I can say names. God, now you guys have thrown me off. Thanks a lot.
Damn!
We were playing through, and it was a really fun experience that I don't necessarily get when I'm playing by myself. I don't feel like it's still fun, but when you're playing with friends, you're running around collecting stuff, and then you run into fun glitches where Ludwig like kills himself because the game glitched. Because we killed him twice, and then we're on the third run, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the midway cutscene, and then the game glitches and he just dies. Shit like that happens, and it's we're laughing about it. And then whereas I'm playing Dark Souls 3 completely by myself because everyone abandoned me and got it on PC instead of PS4.
Dude, I'm in the same boat.
And then,
I'm on the one. I'm on the Xbox, and I don't have anyone to play with either. And it's like I'm playing it's a game I play with my headphones in.
Yeah.
Like not the game audio at all. I'm not listening to the game. I'm just listening to a podcast while I play. Which I don't know if that's a heathen thing to say. But
the music is pretty awesome.
The music is.
I have the
good.
soundtrack, and I've listened to it. I've probably listened to it for a good 30,
For boss
40
fights,
hours.
I turn off the headphones and pay attention. But
the boss fight
I prefer playing through the game alone, which is really weird to say.
I just don't like dealing with the bosses.
Have
sometimes.
you've played the PvP?
Yeah,
like
PvP's fun.
I've never played any of it.
In Dark Souls 2, that was my thing.
Yeah.
I actually made a character specifically for PvP. Got into level 120, which is like the PvP thing for Dark Souls 2. And so in this one, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that again. And so I just took my PvE build into PvP, and it worked out.
Cool.
People say that there's only one or two builds.
Yeah, actually, friend Thomas writes in.
3.
He liked the game, but one of his biggest complaints would have been the amount. The PvP community right now is the number of builds he's seen has been few. Most people only use the Dark Sword. PvP etiquette is almost non-existent. Most invasions are met with the host and 2+ phantoms, all with the Dark Sword, making PvP difficult to enjoy. That's our friend Thomas.
So here's my... I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's fine.
Yes, that happens, but if you're part of the Dark Souls community, get good. Be better than them. That's it. If you are a better player than them,
it doesn't matter.
You will kill them.
I mean, that's kind of a joke, but like
it's true.
It's true. Like you don't play Halo and lose and go, "Why am I losing? The game must suck." It goes, "I must suck at this."
It's because they're using the BR, and the BR is clearly a better weapon than the.
And sometimes it's true.
I mean, sometimes it's true. Like there are matchups that work better than others.
But in this
like
one,
Dark
it's like
Souls.
My character. I used the Great Axe. I found it. I went. This weapon works for me.
Hell yeah! I just found that. By the way,
I crush enemies. I had a dude come in. And he was using one of the weapons that people say is broken, the S-Stock, which I know a lot of people just say is one of the only weapons you should use. And I crushed him. He sprinted straight towards me, he wanted to get me, and bam, swung it down, and I stagger locked him. I knew when he was going to roll back, so he would do his back roll, and at the same time, I would roll forward and follow up with another attack. As long as you know what you're doing, it doesn't matter what the fuck they're going to do. Like, for sorcery builds in PvP, if you're playing a sorcerer, the other person, if they're playing melee, they're going to sprint right for you. It's telegraphed.
Yeah, because like, that guy's going to fuck me up if I stay at a range. So...
Yeah, so you just, you predict a little bit, you shoot one shot, you wait for them to roll, you wait literally 1 second because they're going to roll again, and then you fire off another shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But... As a PvP novice, because in Bloodborne, I hated it when I would get invaded. I didn't have any fun. Like, because all of them, they would just start, like, pumping blood vials. Yep. It was like, why? Like, why wait? Now I have to waste my materials to deal with you. And it was always frustrating. Cause it's like, now I gotta go buy blood vials, asshole. But now I'm on, Dark Souls 3, where, one, your heals are automatically regenerated when you sit at a bonfire, so I don't have to worry about expending my my supplies. But so I was like, okay, I'll invade some people, because I was having a hell of a time in the Irithyll dungeon dealing with those fucking jailers.
Yep.
So I was like, this would probably be a really funny place to invade somebody. and then I invaded, but what my problem is, I would always end up invading 2 people.
Yep.
It was like, I could never just 1v1 somebody, because I would probably win, because I'm a decent enough player, where most of the people I come across aren't that great, but because they have a second person, I have a hard time managing both of them. And so then I was using the jailers as like my crutch. Yeah. Like I would hide by them, and then they'd have to run at me and shit, and it was really funny. Like I wasn't really doing very well, but I made that fight last a good 10-15 minutes.
You were just annoyed.
They would kill a jailer, and I would run to the next one.
And like that person on the other side's like, fucking A, just die already.
And then when I lost, they sent me a fucking PSN message and were like, "You suck," and then they called me like a naughty word or something. Like
one that you
would get bleeped on the show, so I'm not going to. Well, they called me a so a good old bleep, and
they called me a good old beep.
So they're just sending me all this shit. I'm like, I did what I wanted to do. Right. I saw I wasn't going to win, so I was like, I'm just going to annoy the fuck out of you.
I know this is a review
minutes.
for Dark Souls 3, but in Dark Souls 2, there was the Keepers of the Bell, or the Bell Tower. So you would, whenever anyone tried to invade the Bell Tower to ring the bell, you would get summoned. And I loved that fucking guild, because you get summoned in, and then another person for the Bell Keepers gets summoned in. You could have 3 people from the Bell Keepers summoned in. So there's one person who's trying to ring the bell, just gets fucking destroyed.
That sounds so cool.
And I remember this one dude who was really salty. Like, I went in naked with just the cestus. And in that one, you could dual wield the cestus, so you could just stagger lock people. So I went in, he's this mage, and he fires a shot. I roll past him, just stagger lock him. And I'm peppering him down. He can't roll. After this, he's like, "You fucking how the fuck did you think you could fucking do that?" He typed out "fuck" every other word, it felt like. And I was like, "Whoa, bro, why are you mad? Get good."
Straight up.
That was like all across Dark Souls, that was my proudest moment. Naked Cestus. Just fisted him.
Right on.
Well, you could say it's incestus.
But I guess overall, like, for Dark Souls 3, I love the game.
Me too.
I love it, yeah.
I'm not done with the game, but I'm having a ton of fun with it.
Yeah, I'm going to finish it. Like that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of managing my time.
Right, and that's the big thing, is that, right, like, Dark Souls 3 happened, and then I had, like, a week or so to play it, but I work a lot, so I don't have a lot of time to do it. And so I played the game for a bit, and then Uncharted came out, and then DC Universe Online got released on the Xbox, so I've been playing that too. And so that's kind of taken the
Overwatch
place.
now.
Now Overwatch for people who are like, I'm not going to play it, but
because you suck.
Everyone's really excited about it.
It's a big game.
It is. It's super. Like it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. So
it is huge.
But yeah,
it makes me huge.
Yeah. Thanks for everyone who wrote in.
Yeah, thank you very much.
There is 2 other comments to read real fast.
Just get them in there.
Just to get them in there.
Just fit them in there.
Josh said,
oh, good.
Our friend Josh, he said, Kyle can blow me.
So,
So we can arrange that.
Standard.
Yeah, just send me a message with the time that you would like it.
You probably killed him in Dark Souls, so now he's sending you hate mail.
No, I'm just, I'll do it for him. That's
Kyle's just a good guy who'll blow you.
Yeah, I'm just a good guy.
Okay.
And then Tripper said, our friend Tripper.
Oh, good.
He said, "Hi there, Kyle at CrossPlay. You take a look at images at textdating.com."
So check him out.
So go get some viruses.
Go check out his thing. But yeah. So thank you to everyone who wrote in. Make sure you keep writing in. Next week we're going to be covering Uncharted. So
provided I finish it.
Hopefully.
And even on this video, leave us a comment.
Yeah, definitely.
Tell us why you liked the game so much, or why you didn't like the game. Just give us your thoughts on it. We'd really like to hear from you.
And that way, if you leave a bunch of comments, if we see a couple of comments that people want to talk about, we can even tack on a little bit of discussion at the end of the next one. Yeah. Like we can figure it out. So
thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Don't forget, finger bang that like and subscribe button.
Please, yeah, and then share this, anywhere you can, and then try and get involved with the discussion. So
See ya.
Bye!